morning, students. As we are discussing about the excretory system in the human body, we have discussed already about the internal features of the kidney as well as the external features of the kidney, and also we have discussed about the structure of nephron. This nephron is also called as uriniferous tubules, also called as uriniferous tubules, nephrons or renal tubules, or you can say simply kidney tubules. Those structure also we have discussed already. Okay, and today we are going to discuss about how this urine is formed, how the urine formation takes place in our body, that we are going to discuss, and also some properties of the urine, and also we are going to discuss about the artificial urine. Okay, these are the topics we are going to discuss today in our lesson. Okay, and first of all, formation of urine, how the urine is forming in our body. Okay, let us discuss about that. As we have learned about the structure of the nephron, let us once again recollect the structure of the nephron little, which is regarded with this information, that is the formation of urine. Okay, the nephrons are having four major parts in it. One is Bowman's capsule, another one is proximal convoluted tubule, next loop of Henle, and distal convoluted tubule. And this distal convoluted tubule is connected to the collecting tubule, and the Bowman's capsule is having the network of blood vessels, that is afferent arterioles as well as the afferent arterioles mixed together form as a network of blood vessels, and that is called as glomerulus. These are the major parts that are present on the nephron, and all these parts are involved in the formation of urine. Okay, let us see. Actually, the formation of urine is taking place in three stages: ultrafiltration, selective reabsorption, tubular secretion. These are the three stages that urine has been formed in our body. Okay, this urine formation or the filtration of the blood is taking place only in the nephrons of the kidney. Okay, the structure of the nephron, once you see that. This is the Bowman's capsule, which is connected to the convoluted tubule called as PCT, and this PCT is connected to the U-shaped pin called as loop of Henle, and this loop of Henle connected to the one more convoluted tubule called as distal convoluted tubule, and this is connected to the collecting tubule. So these are the major structures, and here the blood vessel that is entering into the Bowman's capsule. The blood vessel that is entering into the Bowman's capsule is afferent arteriole. The blood vessel which is coming out of the blood, this glomerulus or Bowman's capsule, this is called as afferent arteriole. So this is the network of blood vessels will be presented here. This is called glomerulus. Glomerulus. This is PCT, proximal convoluted tubule. This is loop of Henle. This is DCT. This is the CT, collecting tubule, and this is the Bowman's capsule. These are the major parts that are present on the nephron. So let us see the first stage of the formation of urine, that is ultrafiltration. It's a process where the total blood is filtered, numerously filtered, completely with a higher pressure, with a higher grade pressure, that is called hydrostatic pressure. Because of this hydrostatic pressure, the blood is filtered in the Bowman's capsule, and all the waste materials along with a large amount of water and urea, uric acid, bile pigments, glucose, and some of the traces of vitamins and minerals also will be filtered in the glomerulus, and those are entering into the PC through the walls of the Bowman's capsule, through walls of the Bowman's capsule. This filtration, which is occur under the hydrostatic pressure, is called as ultrafiltration. It is occur only in the Bowman's capsule, that is in the glomerulus. The ultrafiltration is occur in the glomerulus. How it will be occur? Let me explain. So the blood which is brought by the arteriole called as the afferent arteriole. Afferent means bringing. Okay, afferent arteriole along with the blood which is very much high amounts of urea, uric acid, bile pigments, glucose, water, large amount of water, and the traces of vitamins and minerals also presented in the blood, which is brought by afferent arteriole. And this is entering into the Bowman's capsule, forms a big network of blood vessels. How it forms the big network of blood vessels? Because it is branched and branched, become arterioles, and these arterioles are still more become branched and form the capillaries, a fine tubules like structures, and these are form the network, and that network of blood vessels is called as glomerulus. So the blood which is brought by the afferent arteriole is entered into the Bowman's capsule, and here the blood is filtered. So the blood is filtered means here the afferent arteriole, the inner portion, if you take the afferent arteriole, the lumen is very much wider. The shaded part which is presented here, this is called as a lumen. This is called as a lumen. Okay, the lumen of the afferent arteriole, the lumen of the afferent arteriole is wider. This is wide lumen, wide lumen. And whereas the lumen of the efferent arteriole, if you take the one more efferent arteriole, the lumen of the efferent arteriole is narrow. You can see the structure here. This is a narrow lumen. This is narrow lumen, this is the wide lumen. So this is the efferent arteriole and this is the afferent arteriole. The lumen of the afferent arteriole is wider and the lumen of the efferent arteriole is narrow. So the blood is, while the blood is filtering, the filtered blood is moving, is passing from the wide lumen to narrow lumen. It is very, very difficult to pass from the wide lumen to narrow lumen. Simple example I will tell you. If you take the narrow bottle with water and a wide bottle with water, and easily from the water from the narrow bottle to wide bottle, easily we can pour the water. No need to take much care about that. But when you are pouring the water from the wide bottle, from the wide bottle to narrow bottle, you should take care of that. You should take much concentration while pouring the water, because the mouth is, the lumen is very narrow here. Same thing is going on here also. The lumen of the afferent arteriole is wider and the lumen of the efferent arteriole is narrow. So the blood is flowing from or passing from wide lumen to narrow lumen, wide lumen to narrow lumen. So there a great pressure will be occurring. That pressure is called as hydrostatic pressure. That pressure is called as hydrostatic pressure. Because of this hydrostatic pressure, the blood is filtered in the glomerulus. And whatever the waste material, that is along with a large amount of water, what we are thinking waste material, actually it is not a waste material, it is a material that is presented in the blood other than the oxygen and carbon dioxide. Remaining all the materials, water, excess amount of water, because we should maintain the osmoregulation also in this case. Osmoregulation means the percentage of water in the body compulsory should be maintained. Okay, for that water, excess amount of water should be removed from the blood, and the excess amount of the glucose should be removed from the blood, and waste materials like urea and uric acid should be removed from the blood, and bile pigments, bile wording as well as the bile grouping, these bile pigments should be separated from the blood, and also some traces of vitamins and minerals. These all will be moving through this walls of the Bowman's capsule simply by by using the hydrostatic pressure, which is created while passing the blood from the wide lumen to narrow lumen. Wide lumen is for afferent arteriole, narrow lumen for efferent arteriole. So all the materials will be filtered, and these are entered into the Bowman's capsule through the walls of the Bowman's capsule, and from there these are going to the PCT, proximal convoluted tube. And after the filtration, this total procedure is called as ultrafiltration. It's a filtration of the blood which is occur in the glomerulus by a great pressure is called as hydrostatic pressure, which is created by the afferent arteriole, which is created by the flowing of blood from the wide lumen of the efferent arteriole to narrow lumen of the efferent arteriole. Okay, so that is called ultrafiltration. After the ultrafiltration, the filtrate, that means the material which is separated from the blood, the material which is separated from the blood, that is called as glomerulus filtrate, or we can say nephric filtrate, the material which is separated by the filtration, by the ultrafiltration, that is called as a nephric filtrate. Okay, understand? So after this nephric separation of the nephric filtrate, the blood is entered without the all the these unnecessary materials. The blood is entered into the efferent arteriole, and it is taking the blood towards the inferior vena cava, and pour that blood into the inferior vena cava, and that inferior vena cava take the blood to right auricle. There it is poured, and afterwards it is sent to the lungs for purification. Okay, so after the completion of this ultrafiltration, we move to the second stage of the formation of the urine is selective absorption. What is that? Selective absorption. Okay. In the second stage of this ultrafiltration, that is selective reabsorption. Selective reabsorption, the PCT as well as the loop of Finlay and the DCT, these three parts are involved. Okay, so the largest amount of the water and glucose, urea, uric acid, some amount of uric acid, not much amount of uric acid, some amount of uric acid, and these bile pigments, these are all moving towards the PCT, and while they are moving in the PCT, that means proximal convoluted tubule, some amount of water, glucose and uric acid and traces of vitamins and minerals will be reabsorbed in the PCT, the walls of the PCT, reabsorbed and enter into the blood. Okay, and then the remaining, now also we won't call it as a urine, it is called as a nephric filtrate. Okay, and then it is entered into the loop of Henle. In this loop of Henle, large amount of water will be reabsorbed. Only excess amount of the sugar and excess amount of urea will be, along with some amount of water will be entered into the, this is moving in this way, enter into the distal convoluted tubule, and from here, so here also some amount of water will be reabsorbed. Water will be reabsorbed here. And here also the water and some amount of the materials will be reabsorbed. And then after this is called as reabsorption, the second stage. After the selective reabsorption, only selected materials will be reabsorbed. What are the selective materials here? Water, glucose, uric acid are absorbed, selected and absorbed, and some amount of traces of vitamins and minerals. The remaining urea and some amount of glucose, uric acid, some amount of uric acid and large amount of water will be entered into the distal convoluted tubule. From there it is connected to the collecting tubule, and this total material will be poured into the collecting tubule. Then it is called urine. That is the third process, tubular secretion. It is poured into the collecting tubule, and then that is called as urine. And this urine is collected by the collecting tubule, and all the collecting tubules are entered into the pelvis, renal pelvis, the broad, as I told you that the broad which is connected to the kidney, this is poured into this. Okay, this is called as the renal pelvis. And this renal pelvis carry this urine bladder, it is a bag-like structure, which is the capacity of 1.5 liters of urine. It takes 1.5 hours to complete filling of urinary bladder. Once the urinary bladder is filled completely, then at the beginning of this urinary bladder, there is a muscular sphincter which is formed by the muscles, and those will be relaxed and give the intention, give the triggering to us that we should go for urine. Immediately the urine will be passed through urethra. Here in the males, urethra is connected to the penis, the reproductive organ, penis, and through this penis the urine will be passed out. And in the females, that is urethra, directly the urethra is opened out of the body, and through that it will be passed out. And this information we will get detailedly in the reproductive system of the human beings. At that time I will explain you very clearly. Okay. So the passing of urine is called micturition. The passing of urine is called as micturition. Or we can say, simply we can say that urination also. Nothing is wrong here. Urination also you can say, but the scientific word is micturition is a term used for passing of urine. This is the complete information about the formation of urine. Okay, and what are the components of the urine? Urine is having the 90% of water. 90% of water, urea, some amount of uric acid, biliverdin and bilirubin. Biliverdin and bilirubin, these two are together called as bile pigments, and glucose, some amount of glucose. All these four are together called as urine. But the color of the urine is given by a color pigment that is presented in the urine, that is called as urochrome. Urochrome is a color pigment which gives the color to urine. So because of this urochrome, urine is always pale yellow color. But in the case of mixing of bile pigments, the urine color will be dark yellow color, because bile pigments are dark yellow color. When they are mixed with urine color will be changed from light to dark. At that condition, the person is said to be as suffering from a disease called as jaundice. Jaundice is the disease which is affected the people because of the mixing of bile pigments into the urine, and they are supplying to all the body parts, and they will convert the delicate body parts into yellow color, and that is the severity of the jaundice. Immediately timely medicine to be taken. When the patient has taken the timely medicines, then he will be recovered from such kind of diseases. Otherwise it is lead to the death of the person also. Okay, and now we will discuss about the taste of the urine. Okay, usually when you are thinking about the taste of the urine, it is somewhat embarrassing to think about that, but actually the taste of the urine is salty. Like in the sweat, sometimes in the summer season, the sweat maybe enter into our mouth also, then we will feel that salty taste. The same taste will be there, the urine also. But when the glucose is presented in a large amount in the urine, what is that? Glucose. When the glucose is presented in a large amount in the urine, then the taste of the urine is sweet. The taste of the urine is sweet when the glucose is presented in the urine. So if the glucose is presented in the urine, that condition is called as diabetes mellitus. Diabetes mellitus. Means sugar diabetes. The person is said to be suffering from diabetes mellitus. Sugar is presented in the urine, so the sugar level should be decreased. If the sugar is not presented in the urine and the taste of the urine is tasteless, and this condition is called as diabetes insipidus. In this condition, water amount will be larger, water will be more, glucose will be less. In this condition, diabetes insipidus, tasteless, the urine will be tasteless. This will be occur because of the less secretion of the hormone called as ADH, anti-diuretic hormone, which is secreted by the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland. Okay, when this hormone is also called as vasopressin. Vasopressin. Okay, so when this hormone ADH, anti-diuretic hormone, when this hormone is secreted in a lower quantity, that means hyposecretion of the ADH causes the diabetes insipidus. It increases the water level in the body and we go for many times for urination. So large amount of water will be lost in the form of urine. So this is also dangerous and this is also dangerous. This is much dangerous than this diabetes insipidus. Okay, these are the some ailments or some defects, and some other defects also we will discuss, that is hematuria. When the kidney is somewhat what we say that as simply we can say wound is happened in the kidney, or any blood vessels or the ureters or the bladder may be burst and cut, otherwise the blood also along with the urine, the blood also will be passed away from the body. So soon after the person will lose the blood. This condition is called as hematuria. Okay, and next one is kidney stones. Because of the accumulation of calcium oxalate, calcium silicate. These are the two elements, compounds which accumulate in the blood, and those are unable to filter by the kidney and stops formation of the urine or passing of the urine. They will be hardened and become the balls like structures. Those are called as kidney stones. Calcium oxalate as well as calcium silicate. Okay, by drinking the more water, one can dissolve such stones while you are drinking the more water. Usually the people have the bad opinion that we should not drink water while you are eating the food. It is absolutely wrong. We are in the tropical country, that is India. We have to drink the water compulsory. Especially in the summer season, we have to drink more water. Maybe in the rainy or winter we might not be drink more water, but in the summer season compulsory you have to drink more water. It is very, 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 very important. And also in summer season we go for less urination. Most of the water will be reabsorbed in our body, and a very little amount of water will be eliminated from our body through sweat. Okay, so in this way the osmoregulation, the water content in the body will be regulated, means maintained in a constant manner in our body. Okay, understand? So compulsory we have to drink the more water before eating the food, while you are eating the food, and after eating the food also. And there are some diuretics, that means water content food materials like apples. All the fruits have the water content. The food what we are taking daily, that is also having the water content, and also liquids what we take daily, those also having the water. These all together called as diuretics. These will supply the lots of amount of water to our body. Okay, water plays an important role in the formation of the in the functioning of the kidney. Okay, but we might be in your locality or in your relatives at least, somebody may says that our kidneys are not working properly, and actually we have the two kidneys, one pair of kidneys, but the metabolic activities which are going on in our body, those are maintained by one kidney. If in the two kidneys one kidney failed also, we can manage our life cycle or our life, we can lead our life by using only one kidney. Our metabolic activities will be run very sufficiently by one kidney. But if the two kidneys are spoiled, if the two kidneys are completely damaged, then we have to go for dialysis machine. Dialysis machine. This dialysis machine, actually this is not in your syllabus, but just for information I am telling you. This dialysis machine is also called as artificial kidney. Artificial kidney. This artificial kidney first invented in 1953 by William J. Koch. This artificial kidney has been invented by William J. Koch in the year 1953. This artificial kidney gives a life to the people who have the damaging of both the kidneys. This is called a dialysis machine. And if both the kidneys are damaged completely, this dialysis machine can be used for every week. And in this, the total filtration of the blood will be taking place outside the body of the patient in the machine, and he will be on the bed only. He cannot go for urination or some other. Everything will be on the bed. That is dialysis machine. But nowadays, the kidney transplantation also invented. Kidney transplantation. But before the transplanting of the kidney, the blood group should be matched. If the blood groups are not matched, the kidney will not be fit for the patient which is transplanted, and the person ultimately dies. So before the transplantation of the kidney, the blood groups will be matched, checked by the doctor for the donor as well as the recipient, and then the kidney, if it is matched, then the kidney transplantation can be done. Okay, this is about the excretory system in the human body. Okay, in the next video I will come with a new topic. Today I will send this video and some homework to you people, and you complete that homework and send to me today itself. Okay, thank you very much.